you ask them if they could write that many in a lifetime.
Especially when you're dealing with papyrus and ink and feathers, or, you know, however they did that. Yeah.
It was a mind transference. I've always had this theory, right? That there was, say right now, we all hit an ice age. Right now, right as we sit in front of our microphones, George, we all froze dead, right? 450,000 years, we've got people digging us up under the ground, right? They're digging us out of the ground. They find me sitting in front of my little iPad right here. But the iPad is stone. It's been 450,000 years. They might be able to take it apart and find the components of it, and they might suspect that it was electrical. But how do they have the power to run it? They don't know what electricity is. They don't know how to switch that on. They don't know how to access that information. Who's to say that that's not happened to us with all of the stuff that we've discovered? Who's to say that those scrolls, the Dead Sea Scrolls, aren't electronic devices that are holding the information inside of it, and we just don't know how to access it because it's so old. Everyone wonders about the pyramids.
I don't know. That's a really interesting take.
Thought.
Yeah, it is.
It's all back to the frequency thing, right? It's like being able to see the frequencies around the pyramids. These things are long forgotten information because they want us to not remember how powerful we are. They don't want us to remember how powerful we are. And I really, truly feel like those books in the Bible that are missing are how we invoke that power, how we unlock that frequency fence. That's what they're hiding from us. Because if we woke up, if all of us were more awake than what we are now, can you imagine? They would have no power. There would be no power. There is none whatsoever. Like none.
Yeah, I think the Egyptian pyramids and all these European churches and all these huge chapels, I think all of that we're lied to. We're definitely lied to about that. That's actually, it's a way to harness and transfer energy for sure.
Yeah, and it's even down to like where there's somewhere in Washington D.C. where they have like in the belly of the I can't remember which. I'll include it in the Substack because it was really interesting, but they've got this like weird magic box thing that encases all of the holy books. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh, okay. So it's an Aleister Crowley square. It's like a magic square. He used to use something called the magic square, and it equals 666. And like it's called the magic square, right? And there's a magic square in Washington D.C. where they've actually encapsulated all of the holy books known to man right now in this magic box in the center of D.C. And they call it the belly of the beast. Interestingly, but I would wonder if that's related back to what we're talking about like that frequency fence locking down the frequencies of those, of the belief systems of those books. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's interesting.
And the golem thing, can we play the golem? Can we play the golem thing?
Oh, yeah. Do you have the link?
On that note? I sent it to you on IG, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I resent it. It's the last message I sent you. Yeah, because so everyone, this is really important. This leads us back to the Marina Abramovich thing. And I had heard this information 4 or 5 years ago, and I can't believe I've forgotten it. It's one of those things that's come back now for a reason. And I would really like to make a point. Just remind me, George, when we come back about clones, please.
Okay, I'll have it up in about 5 seconds.
That was mind-blowing when I had that epiphany night before last. Was I messaging you like a mad woman at like 2 o'clock in the morning? Like, oh my God, I think I worked it out. But I've been looking at this stuff for so long. When you find new stuff, it's so exciting because it's like you've finished all of those early milestones of finding new information every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you click, there you go. And I will kick it off right now.
Beautiful.
Of course, we have skip an ad. 3, 2, 1. Okay, here we go, guys.
I believe that art of the future is art without objects. This is just pure transmission of energy between the viewer and the artist. To me, mixed reality is this answer.
This was a unique opportunity to take the most legendary artists working now and capture them in such a way that they are translatable forever.
If you're a collector, you're trying to find works that break new ground. We here at Christie's believe that this is that. And it will be the first time that a mixed reality artwork is sold at auction.
There was always a question what you buy when you buy performance. You buy the video or you buy the edition of photographs. Here, you actually can have the artist's presence in your collection.
The first thing that we had to figure out was you had to feel that you were in the room with Marina, not a document of Marina. So HoloLens 2 was created by people who quite clearly have an interest in the audience forgetting that they are using technology. So the purest expression of artistic intent can happen.
I really want Whöre to be with me in the space, in here and now. The life is dealing with what is going to stay after I'm not there anymore. And I can face myself. And that's a frightening experience. Really like you're facing your own ghost. There is always this great idea of immortality. Once you die, the work will never die because the work of art can continue. In performance, the piece is only in the memory of the audience and nowhere else. Here, I am kept forever.
Both muted. Oh. You there, George? I can't hear you anymore, George. Oh, we've lost sound.
How about now?
Oh, yep, there it is. Got ya.
Did you want me to continue on, or?
Yeah, so the end, so I'm sorry, that's why I cut it. So that bit is really important about Marina. That was part of the virtual reality stuff. That was another commercial that she's done with Bill Gates. That was me tying her into Bill Gates. The one that's going to follow very shortly, it's about 6.5 to 9 minutes, I can't remember, but it's about golems. And it's about her creating golems, and I'd really like that to be played for the record because I need people to understand what I'm about to say, and it's through that video. It is phenomenal. And I can't believe I forgot this information, George. I can't believe it. But it's about, so if you scroll through, so it's a 12-minute video. I think it's at about 3 minutes. Yeah, so just rewind a little bit.
Oh, yep, there it is.
There, boom.
The golem. Okay, here we go, guys.
It should be clear by now that the modern technological and scientific agenda is built upon the same spiritual philosophies as ancient alchemy. The desire for man to create artificial life and as a result play God is nothing new. One of the goals for the alchemists was to create what is known as the golem, an animated anthropomorphic being created purely out of inanimate matter through magical workings. Hebrew word golem is used once in the Bible and is found in Psalms 139:16, translated as unformed substance. Quote, "Your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them." According to Talmudic legends, Adam was initially created by God as a golem, or as a body without a soul, for the first 12 hours of his existence. The substance that gave his mindless body a soul was the breath of God. It was at this point that man became the image bearers of God. Quote, "Then the Lord God formed the man of dust from the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living soul." While it is appropriate for God himself to create life out of non-life, it is easy to see that man attempting to do the same is in essence playing out the lie that was promised to us before the fall of mankind. The methods to form a golem were vast and complex, involving everything from meditative techniques, numerological markings, and ritual chanting. There are many Jewish traditions of holy rabbis and sages creating a golem. For example, when Eliezer of Worms, a 12th century Talmudist and mystic, commented on the Sefer Yezerah, or what is known as the Book of Formation, one of the earliest Kabbalistic writings, he gave a detailed and complex report of how to form a golem through advanced spiritual meditative techniques called the 221 gates. But perhaps the most famous golem is the one allegedly created by Rabbi Yehuda Levi ben Betzalel of Prague, known as the Maharal, in the 16th century. The legend goes that the Maharal created a golem named Yosel to help save the Jews of Prague from the blood libel, an early form of anti-Semitism where cults derived from Roman Catholicism falsely accused the Jews for kidnapping and murdering children to use their blood in religious rituals. After fulfilling his purpose, the golem Yosel was deanimated by the Maharal. It is widely believed that Yosel's body was stored and still lays in the attic of Prague's Old New Synagogue, a building that was curiously not destroyed by the Nazis in World War II. In fact, it is believed that the Gestapo didn't even enter the attic when they took hold of the synagogue. This is no surprise, since it is well known that Hitler spoke often of the Übermensch to describe the National Socialist agenda of creating a biological superior Aryan race that would rule the earth for 1,000 years. In alchemy, it was the 16th century alchemist and occultist named Paracelsus who described how to create the golem, referred to as the homunculus in alchemical terms. In the Hermetic and Alchemical writings of Paracelsus, he said, quote, "But neither must we by any means forget the generation of homunculi, for there is some truth in this thing, although for a long time it was held in a most occult manner and with secrecy, while there was no little doubt and question among some of the old philosophers whether it was possible to nature and art that a man should be begotten without the female body and the natural womb. In order to accomplish it, you must proceed thus, that the semen of a man putrefy by itself in a sealed cucurbite with the highest putrefaction, until it begins to live, move, and be agitated, which can easily be seen. If now, after this, it be every day nourished and fed cautiously and prudently with the arcanum of human blood, and kept for 40 weeks in the perpetual and equal heat, it becomes thenceforth a true and living infant, having all the members of a child that is born from a woman, but much smaller. This we call a homunculus, and it should be afterwards educated with the greatest care and zeal until it grows up and begins to display intelligence. Now this is one of the greatest secrets which God has revealed to mortal and fallible man. It is a miracle and marvel of God, an arcanum above arcana, and deserves to be kept secret until the last times, when there shall be nothing hidden, but all things shall be made manifest. In more recent times, it was the pioneer rocket fuel scientist and occultist Jack Parsons and the founder of Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard, who performed magical ceremonies and rituals called Babylon working, carrying on the work done by occultist Aleister Crowley, who called himself the Great Beast 666. Parsons and Hubbard claimed to make contact with the spiritual realm to unleash an entity of a divine female named Babylon. But perhaps the most interesting part of all the rituals performed by Parsons and Hubbard was that of what is called the mannequin. The accounts of the mannequin begins with a huge steel container codenamed Jumbo that accompanied the first atomic bomb explosion on the Trinity site in New Mexico on July 16, 1945. The Brookings Institute released a short explanation of Jumbo in February of 2013, which stated, quote, "As preparations for the first nuclear weapons test, General Leslie Groves, the head of the Manhattan Project, began to worry about what would happen if the test was a failure. With a very limited supply of plutonium then available, a failure could scatter tens of millions of dollars of the precious element across the New Mexico desert. To avoid this problem, a massive steel vessel to contain the explosion was built at a cost of $142 million. Nicknamed Jumbo, the container weighed 214 tons, was 25 feet long, 12 feet wide, and had walls 14 inches thick. According to occult investigators and conspiracy theorists James Shelby Downard and William N. Grimstead, Jumbo contained within it what Aleister Crowley had called the mannequin, an inanimate body which was inundated with nuclear energy, thus producing a real homunculus, or golem. Regardless of whether or not the stories of these occult practices to produce soulless life forms are true or not, it doesn't make much difference with what we are facing on the horizon. What we will come to discover is that Satan's grand agenda is to produce his own golem or homunculi out of the human race, so that we might abandon the image of God in exchange for the image of the beast.
Really like you're facing your own ghost. There is always this great idea of immortality.
Tell me that didn't rock your boat.
Yeah. And why does that date Well, you got 1945, which again, 1, 9, 4, and 5, that equals 19. There's something to that. It included Jack Parsons, Aleister Crowley, Oppenheimer, who was of the Klan. Man, that's a lot to take in. I'm probably going to have to watch that over a couple more times and take it all in.
Massive. There was so many connections there that it was mind blowing. I erupted like a volcano